Welcome back to Interviews with Entrepreneurs show. We interview entrepreneurs who are super awesome in their niches. Are you here with back again with an insane interview? And today, never it happens that we got some guests out there two times in our show, and this is happening for the very first time. So absolutely, it is exciting. So today again we have a special guest. You might know about her a lot because she's giving so much impact, especially right now. And again, she's also CF Design School founder and also the Funnel Hacking Live speaker, and also who's creating a movement out there, Kathryn Jones.
Yes! Oh my gosh,
Hey,
listen, I am on. I'm the first person that's been back twice.
absolutely, you're the first person who got on the show two times.
What an honor, honestly. Thank you for having me. This is amazing.
Awesome. Awesome. It's again, thank you so much for being on the show. It is, truly an honor for having you on our show twice again.
Yes.
That is literally awesome.
Yes. Oh, I'm thrilled.
And guys, like if you are like jumping on live, you can simply use hashtag live. If you are jumping on replay, you can simply use hashtag replay out there. And again, Kathryn, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
And within the past few days, the most thing that I get attracted, what you were talking about, the stuff, what is happening is you beat a machine with a movement.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that was like for me was an eye opener. I was like, oh my god! I always see my competitors doing so many things out there, and I'm like, doing nothing. So can you tell me more about how these things are happening up right now? Like how those things are going up?
Yes, exactly. Okay, and this I love that you're paying attention to this phrase, like beat a machine with a movement. So so how this whole thing started, honestly, is I'm really blessed. A lot of people ask me to be on their shows and podcasts and stuff, and it kind of just got a little bit crazy. So we'll do like huge press tour days. Like when I was here last time, we did like a big press tour. And what's crazy, RJ, is like what people ask me all the time. They'll be like, "Who are you?" Like I'd heard about, like I didn't even know who you were 6 months ago. I didn't even know, like blah blah blah. And there's like and so they're like, how did you come onto the scene so fast or so big or whatever? And there's like good news and bad news to it. The good news is that it was really strategic. The bad news, or I don't know bad, but it was just like, it would have been easier if just like one of my videos went viral. You know what I'm saying? But like that didn't happen, dang it. So it was like, oh, we had to like actually figure it out. And so, so how did this happen? So I love this. You're like, beat a machine with a movement. How did that come to be? And okay, and here's what I want you guys to pay attention, because I think a lot of you are going to resonate with this. Like I already know you guys are my people. So if you, I want to go back to like 2015, okay? And in 2015, I was about a year into my like entrepreneurial journey, and I would consider myself like an entrepreneur, like question mark, where like, I don't know if you hit this phase, but like, you know the phase where you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but I'm on every single webinar and I'm buying all these random courses, and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing, but like I'm trying. You know, so it's like I'm like watching everything, and like you make like a few random dollars here and there. And again, you're like, I don't really know what I'm doing, but like I'm just trying, right? And so you're just like, okay. And so 2015, I was about a year into that, and that's what I'm doing, just trying. And in 2015, there was this movie that came out called Joy. Have you seen the movie Joy before, RJ?
No, I've heard from you.
Okay, listen, I know you're busy, but we gotta get this on your calendar, okay? So you guys, okay, listen, there's this movie Joy, and it's a true story. It's about this woman named Joy Mangano, and she's the woman that invented the self-wringing mop. And and so this movie, it follows her whole story, and it is nuts, RJ, like all the opposition that this girl goes through. Like, you're just like, can't a girl just build a mop? Like, can you guys just leave her alone and let her build a mop? But like, no, right? It was nuts. Like, at one point, somebody tries to steal her patent. And then at one point, like, she runs out of money, so she has to double mortgage her house. And then her family screws her over. And then you think she's going to make it, and she, like, gets on this huge TV show to sell her stuff, and then it, like, bombs, and it's just like, oh, my gosh. It's just like, it's so crazy. And then there's this point at the end of the movie where she goes to go meet this man who has stolen her idea. And they're going to go basically hash it out. And what happens at this meeting will just determine the trajectory of everything. And RJ, you have to know, like, I am so bought into this movie. Like, I went to go see this movie in the theaters with my family. And I'm like so in it. Like, I just like resonating with this woman so much because she is just trying to get something going. Like, I don't know if you guys are like that, where you're just like, I'm just trying. And like, it's not working, but like, oh, I'm just like trying, right? Like so hard. And you're like, yes, is this even worth it? And so I am like feeling that so deeply. And so she goes to go meet with this man who's stolen her idea. And again, she's about to walk into this room. And I am just so just like, hurting. And like, listen, somebody can say this. Like, I screamed at the same point. So they know, they've heard the story. So I am like so bought into this character. I'm so bought into this movie. And I'm just resonating her because you're like, can you just let her win already? Like, come on. So she's about to walk into this room. And because I'm so invested in this, RJ, like if something happens to me, I forget that I'm in a public place. Like all my social awareness goes away. And next thing I know, as she's walking into the room, I yell at the screen, not like speak, like yell the words. And I'm like, come on, you can do it. Like I yell it loud. Okay. And I'm sitting next to my sister who's like 4 years younger than me. She literally like, she's mortified, right? She's just so embarrassed. And she like takes her hand, like covers my mouth. She covers my mouth. She's like, what is wrong with you? I was like, I'm sorry. I don't know. I was like, I'm feeling a lot of feelings. I'm not really sure. But I think about that time all the time because I was just like, I think this is like such a common feeling, especially amongst creators and entrepreneurs where you're just like, I'm just like, I don't know what's in me, but I got to get it out. And like, you're not quite sure what to do. And what's really interesting is if you go forward about 4 years in my journey, now it's April, May 2019. And at this point, I've launched my program, CF Design School, which shows people how to build funnels that convert. And it's doing okay. There's about like 200-ish people in there, and they're actually getting amazing results. But I can't get it to like take off, like for real, like really hit, which is frustrating because the people are doing so well. I'm like, if people would just listen to me, if they would just listen to me, we can fix all these problems, but nobody's listening, right? And so again, April, May 2019, I find myself sitting in this internet marketing conference. And this is where you're thinking like, how do you beat a machine with a movement? This is where this comes. I find myself sitting in this internet marketing conference. There's like 2,000 people there. And I remember exactly where I was sitting, RJ. I was like right in the middle back. And so as I'm there, I'm actually watching at the time, one of my biggest competitors speak on stage. And here's the problem with this competitor is that they're actually extraordinary. Like you hate them because you can't hate them. Like they're so cool. Like I'm like, to this day, I have nothing bad to say about this. They're phenomenal, absolutely extraordinary. And so you're looking at them and you're just like, oh, because you're like, they even deserve to be up there. And they're a little bit older than me. So they have decades more experience. They have pushed millions of more dollars than me. They have tens of thousands of more subscribers or followers than me. They're like dropping their product name left and right. People are like eating it up, and they're backed by $1 billion company.
Yeah.
And there's me in the back, right? Hardly anybody knows my name. Nobody knows my product name. And I'm sitting there and to give you more context, like not only did I have that going against me, but also at that point, it was me and one other person on my team. And her name's Rachel. She's from the Philippines and she's working 10 hours a week. Like that was my team, just us, right? And I'm kind of running out of money. Like I have a runway, but like it's getting shorter and shorter. And I'm like, if we don't figure out how to like really make this thing go, I'm in a situation, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm looking up at this competitor on the stage and I'm just like, they seem like a machine. They're just pounding stuff out. Like they are just this unstoppable machine. So again, I'm sitting there and this is what you're talking about. And I'm like, I'm sitting back there and the thoughts going through my head, RJ, I'm just like, how do you beat a machine? 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 And I'm having this like internal dialogue where it's like, how do you beat a machine? I'm like, I have no idea how to beat a machine. Are you kidding me? I'm like, I don't know how to do it, right? But this is also infused with like anxiety and fear. And is this going to work? And what's going to happen if it fails? And if it fails, will I still feel this crazy thing inside me? And just like, oh, right? Like I'm kind of going a little bit nuts. And so I'm thinking, how to beat a machine? How to beat a machine? And it's something I think I can only attribute it to God, to heaven, because what happens next, RJ, like this phrase comes to my head that you alluded to earlier. And it's way too smart to have come for me. And I'm in the midst of freaking out, right? Like, it's not like I'm like being still, like I'm freaking out, right? And so all of a sudden this phrase comes to me. And as I'm thinking, how do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? How do you beat a machine? And then the phrase comes and it's so clear. And this is it. And it's just this thought that all of a sudden I can like see the words in my head. And the phrase is this, it goes, you beat a machine with a movement. Which is exactly what you said. You beat a machine with a movement, right? And so I'm like, it's literally RJ hearing that. I was like, oh freak. I was like, listen, I don't know what that means, but it felt smart, right? So I take my notebook, I'm like, write down, I'm like, how do you beat a machine? You beat a machine with a movement. So I'm looking at this phrase, you beat a machine with a movement, right? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, you beat a machine with a movement, but I'm like, what is that? Is that true? Or does that just sound pretty? Because it sounds pretty, right? Like it's kind of, oh, that's good, right? But like, is that actually true? So I start thinking about like, well, what are movements that I know about? Like, what are movements, right? So I think about like the civil rights movement that happened in the United States, right? Where Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream, or even a few years before that, a woman named Rosa Parks, like she didn't give up her seat on the bus. So there was this huge bus boycott. So the next day, hundreds of thousands of African Americans didn't use city transportation. It's awesome, right? It was just so rad. Or everything that happened with the Berlin Wall coming down, or the hunger strikes with Gandhi, or everything that happened with the Boston, Massachusetts Tea Party, right? Like all these things. And so I'm starting to look and I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's actually true. Like these movements, they did it. Like they actually took down these figurative machines, whether they were governments or ideologies, like they did it. So I'm looking at this phrase, like you beat a machine with a movement. And I'm like, I think that's true. Like, I actually think that that's true. So then I'm like, well, I need one of those. Shoot. Like I need a movement, right? Because I'm looking at my competitor. I'm like, there's no way I'm going to be able to outspend her in like ads. Right. And like, at that point I was 28 years old. And so it's like, I can't help the fact that I was born decades later than her. Like, I can't fix the fact that she has more experience than me. I can't fix the fact that she has more money.
Absolutely.
Like, I need a movement, right? So I'm like, okay, well, I need a movement, but like, what exactly is that? Like, what exactly is a movement? And as I start to think about it, I'm like, oh my gosh, all a movement is, it's simply a mass of people that both believe and live a singular story. All on the same team. Believe and live a singular story. And as this becomes clear for me, RJ, two things come into my mind. Number one, I'm like, that's good. Like, I'm like, this is exciting, right? Like, I know what a movement is. And the second thing is I almost am like a little bit self-loathing where I'm like, Kathryn, you're an idiot. Like, Kathryn, you're so stupid. Because I start to look at what it was that I was doing with CF Design School and teaching people how to design funnels. I literally taught them through design hacking. And the definition is how to present stories that convert. And also I was like, oh my gosh, like I actually figured out how to do that with funnels. Like I actually did. And so I was like, wait, could I apply what we're doing with funnels to other aspects? Like, is there a formulaic way to present stories that convert through video and through podcasts and stage and copy and Facebook Lives and Instagram stories? And at that point, RJ, like it was a hypothesis. I was like, I have no idea if there is, but like, we got to go for it because that's my only shot. Right. And so I leave this conference and I write down in my notebook, hashtag Operation Smoke 'em Out. Hashtag Operation Smoke 'em Out, where I'm like, listen, I'm going to be so strategically loud about the stories that I tell that people won't even know that my competitors exist. Because here's the thing, like I can't bash my competitors. There's nothing bad to say about them. They're actually these incredible businesses, right? So I'm like, I can't bash them. So the only play that I have is to box them out. I'm just gonna smoke them out. So I get back from this conference and I just decide I'm gonna design hack or storify everything in my business. So this online course, CF Design School, what we did is we added a graduation to the back end of it. So all of a sudden people are living a story. And before, when we couldn't get anybody to partner with us for joint ventures, we create a campaign around it. So all of a sudden people start coming to us and they're like, wait, can we sell your product in our group? Like Spencer Meekum and Jamie Smith of CF Pro Tools, they literally slide into my DMs like, hey, can I sell your thing? I'm like, yeah, okay, I think, sure, you can do it, right? Or also we're like trying to get the attention of these like big name people. Nobody's like, we can't even get through the gatekeepers, right? Also, we start to get really loud about how we're telling the story of our business and movement, and they start coming to us. And they're like, hey, what are you doing? Within a span of 6 months, RJ, literally go from sitting in the back of a room to actually being asked to speak on some of the biggest internet marketing stages in the world, from having nobody partnering with us to regular 6-figure launches, to having our Dream 100s not only pay attention to us, but turn from mentors to peers to even clients. And the only thing that changed, and having no following to a 7-figure movement, it's nuts, right? It's crazy. And you look and you're like, what happened? And I'm with my team. And at that point we had hired more people because we were just growing. And I look at my team and I'm like, oh my gosh, you guys, I'm like, we did it. Like hashtag Operation Smoke 'em Out. I think we did it, right? Like, this is amazing. And so you look and you're like, oh my gosh, okay, well, the secret is start a movement, right? But it's like, then also we started to ask ourselves the question, like, we know that the phrase to beat a machine, you can beat a machine with a movement. You beat a machine with a movement. We know that's true. But we started to think of the question, why? Like, why does it work? Like, why is it that a movement can take down a machine? And this, I think, is the most profound truth that I've learned in all of my internet marketing. And I think that the people that understand and apply this and know this, they win the game. I 100% believe this. And the truth is this. The truth is that when you know how to design hack, when you know how to present stories that convert, what happens is that all of a sudden your stories become your customer stories. And when your stories become your customer stories, and all of a sudden your solutions become their solutions, which means that you might still have competitors somewhere speaking on stage, but your people aren't going to care because they're going to be like, listen, they might be there, but they don't get me like RJ gets me. Like RJ's story is my story. Like he's my people. Like he gets me, right? Like that person, they might be cool, but they don't get me. And that's how you start to amass this tribe, this following of people that don't just comment on your stuff, that don't just like your stuff, but that share and evangelize everything you're doing. And so going back to like how we go on these press tours, right? And I start to tell my team how everybody's like, where did you come from? Like blah, 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 blah. My team, they're amazing. They're all marketers, right? So they're like, let's turn this into an event or like a high ticket thing or a coaching program or all this stuff. And they're getting like really excited about that, which I love them for this. And so they're talking. And I'm just kind of being quiet a little bit. And all of a sudden they're like, wait, Kathryn, like you're cool with this, right? Like you're in. And I was like, guys, I think I don't think I'm in. And they're like, what do you think you don't think you're in? I'm like, I think I don't. I think I just don't want to do a coaching program, not like this. And they're like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? And I was like, well, I think I can't because I think I can't charge for it. And at that point, RJ, I think they thought that like something was wrong with me, right? Because I'm a marketer, right? And I'm like, I don't want to charge for it. They're like, you had an aneurysm or something. And I was like, guys, I think I can't charge for it. And they're like, why not? Like, are you crazy? Like, you can make so much money from this. And I was like, 2 reasons. I was like, number 1, I was like, for baby Kathryn. For baby Kathryn that like yelled at the movie theater screen, right? And like, she just had no idea how to get what was in or out of her. Like, I was just trying to make something take off and I didn't know. And I think about all the time, like, what would have happened to 2015 Kathryn if she knew even a version of what 2020 Kathryn knows? Like, everything would have been different. And the reality is that 2015 Kathryn could not have afforded what 2020 Kathryn would charge for this. Like, she just can't, right? So that was number 1. They're like, oh, okay, fine. Like, what's number 2, right? And I said the second reason is that I think one of the most beautiful things about design hacking is that when you know how to present stories that convert, it literally gives good people and good causes and good products wheels to actually take off, to actually go. And I said, and if there was ever a time in the world, hashtag 2020, God bless us, right? That like the world needs to be infused with good people and good products and good causes, it's literally now. And so my team sits there and they're like, oh, fine. They're like, okay, fine, we'll do it. So I love them to death. They like came around. And so what we decided to do is put together this huge free 5-day workshop where we're literally going to take you from start to finish. What does it look like to launch a 7-figure movement and become the number 1 go-to expert in your niche, which means you get paid like number 1, which means that your competitors become irrelevant, and which means that all of a sudden you start to build this tribe of evangelistic followers. And yes, so it's starting on Monday. And again, I'm so excited to come into your group because I remember when we came in here last time, you can even see now, like, your people are so awesome. They're like, yeah, that's amazing, like #lab. And I'm like, listen, again, like, we got to get this into the hands of as many good people as possible because of how powerful it is to take over the world. So if you guys want to come, you're coming, right?
Absolutely. Why not? I'm already registered for that.
If you want to come hang out with RJ and I, then Monday's the big day. Come on down. The price is right. $0, right? It's literally free. And designhacking.com/workshop.
No brainer.
Yes, no brainer. Go there, but you have to actually go there to register because that's how we're going to get you set up for where all the trainings are going to be happening and everything like that. But yeah, I literally am so jazzed about this just because I know how powerful it is. And so many people, they're just tweaks away. So again, if you want to come out with RJ and I, you want to learn how to launch a 7-figure movement, become number 1 go-to expert in your niche, be a machine with a movement. We're gonna pull back the curtain and show you all.
Absolutely, that is definitely an insane thing, and I can see many people have already registered. Like 2 have already registered, and other people have already registered for the workshop as well. That is absolutely the craziest part. And like you talked about, and even your masterclass have that part of a hook out there that how to become, how to create seven-figure movement and become the number one best in your niche.
Mhm.
And you already did that, by just watching Russell Brunson, being a fan out there, and
Yeah.
becoming a friend and being on the funnel hacking live stage. That is literally that you've done your own thing and you became the number one in the niche out there.
Yeah.
And like, I truly realize that what happening out there is that most people they have like confidence problem out there with the, oh my god, like I don't think so that my product is good or my product will help, but have internal procrastination, like as you talked about, you
Hmm.
know or they watch other people growing up, or like as you talked about that $1 billion company out there and you were on the other fence out there, you're like, oh my god, like why it's happening, they're good, but
Yeah.
why it's happening to us? That is absolutely the craziest part. So could you tell us more about like what are the things that you're doing in that masterclass? Like I've so many people have already registered,
Yes.
and it is freaking crazy.
Yeah, it's amazing. I love you guys for it. We're gonna have so much fun. Yeah, we already have about 2,000 people already registered, so it's gonna be huge.
Damn.
Day one, what we're gonna be doing is actually I'm gonna show you the details of our Operation Smoke 'em Out. So I'm actually gonna
Yeah.
show you like what did it look like for us. Then day two, we're gonna start to help you guys to start make your own plan. So what does it look like to present stories that convert through video or podcast or stage? Or what if you get shy on camera? Or what if you're not sure what you're selling yet? Like we're gonna start to help you curate your own plan. Then day three, what we're going to do is what's really cool is when you know how to present stories that convert to other people, you know how to use those same strategies to convert stories or present stories that convert to yourself. So we can stop sabotaging ourselves and shooting ourselves, like get out of our own way finally. Then day four, at that point, we're going to have like created a beast a little bit. So day four, I'm going to teach you some systems on automation so you don't drown, right? So we can actually keep this thing propelling and going forward. And then day five, which is like arguably my favorite, is that what we're going to do here is once you start to have a semblance of a movement, how can you use that and leverage that to get the attention of big name people? So that a Russell Brunson and a Myron Golden are also like, hey, I want to be a part of this. Like, what are you doing? And how can we do this? And I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So it's going to be fun. Designhacking.com/workshop. If you guys have any questions or anything, like I have a few more shows to go on for the rest of today, but later tonight, I'll totally circle back. Just tag me in this. I'd love to answer any of your questions. But long story short, we're going to take care of you. I think it's the best stuff we've ever done. And it's going to be just so epic. We have a ton of surprise guests that will come while we're there. And it's just going to be great. So yeah, come hang out with RJ and I, designhacking.com/workshop. It'll be a party.
Absolutely. It is going to be crazy. Like I already got registered. I'm watching like many people have already got registered with the workshop as well. And that this is literally crazy. And guys, like if you want to get into it, it is like, you just need to, okay? It is a no-brainer, okay? If you're just thinking about, look, should I get to? Don't think, just go, Like 2,000 people have registered. These things are literally crazy. And if you guys have saw, like, Kathryn is putting up so much effort out there. Like, oh my God, like your calendar is like filled up with each of the interview session out there. I was like, damn, that is so much. Like, why?
The world needs to know. The world needs to know.
Absolutely. So like, I want to know one thing before, I know that you have so tight schedule out there. So I just want to, fastly, like you need to have rest. Absolutely. You need to. So I want to know about like, what is the thing that you're grateful for? Like, what do you think about that? What is the thing that you think that is a gratitude? Like, what is the thing you're grateful for so far throughout the whole journey?
Oh my gosh, what a great thing. And what a beautiful question. I think the thing that I am most grateful for, honestly, is what a beautiful question. I actually think it has to be this. I think the thing that I am most grateful for is for people who remind me of the truest version of myself. I think I've been really blessed to be surrounded and chosen to be surrounded by people who remind me, again, the truest version of myself. And so they'll either, like, if I'm feeling low, they're like, Kathryn, you got this, right? Or they'll also call me out and be like, be better. Like, actually be better, or you're missing the mark here, or different things like that. And I think entrepreneurship is this really beautiful journey that is, if you play it right, it's very refining. It's very refining. And so I think I am really grateful to have friends and family that love me enough to remind me that I'm great, and also to remind me to be better. And I think it's been that combination that's really helped me, hopefully, to continually become, hopefully, more and more like the truest version of myself.
This is awesome. Absolutely. This is one of the most important things that people need to understand when it comes to entrepreneurship and everything. Absolutely. That is the thing. And Kathryn, like, again, anything that you want to say before we round this stuff up?
No, just come hang out with us. I'm going to hop out here if that's okay. But designhacking.com/workshop. Arja's going to be there. I'm going to be there. It's going to be a party. Tuba's going to be there. A bunch of you have already registered. Anything's possible for us. So we'd love to hang out with you.
Absolutely. And guys, if you I have put it up, the link, I will, it is happening on August 10th, if I'm correct.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Absolutely. So before that, I will make sure that each and everyone within the group will sign up for that. And yeah, again, Kathryn, thank you so much for being on the show. Again, it was truly great to have you.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you so much, RJ. Guys, I'll see you guys on Monday. RJ, thank you so much for having me.
Totally appreciate it. Bye-bye.